think, act, and prosper. You are now tuned into the Money Level Show.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Money Level Show, where we think, act, and prosper. Today, I'm with the man himself, Sean Wade. We in person. How you doing?
I'm very well, Darren. It's lovely to see you. Great to see you in person.
Yes. So you've been on the show multiple times. I'm a shareholder of Power Metal Resources. This is not financial advice, but you have some really good information that came out. So oftentimes when I interview Rick, he does net asset valuations, right? And so some people are wondering, what is that? How do you value the assets that a company has? And so here on this document that you put out, and it's available online, I'll link to it in the description, but it shows the estimated value of the assets. So what inspired you to do this, and also who did the study?
Okay, so first of all, this is an independent study which is done by an influencer that follows our stock and is, well, as you can imagine, very keen on our story. And he's very visible on Twitter and on the chat rooms and so on. So he influences a lot of the retail investors, particularly in the UK. And there's been a big debate about the valuation of Power Metal. Everybody knows we're a portfolio company. We've got assets in lots of different geographies. We've talked about that, you and I, quite a few times. Athabasca Basin in Canada, Nevada through Guardian Metal, now it's called Resources, Australia, and now increasingly also Saudi Arabia. And I think what this kind of came about because Guardian Metal, GMET as people will know, has been performing extremely well. It's now up to about more than 30 million sterling market cap. Bear in mind we own roughly just below 50%, so something like 16 million of our value is coming out of GMET, and yet our market cap is still only around 19 or 20 million. So on that basis, the shares look very cheap, and so it's quite easy for people to say, okay, so let's say you call it round numbers, 16 of your 20 million is GMET, so I'm paying 4 million for everything else. So that's easy, but what is everything else? Okay, and how are those things valued? It's very easy to make that initial part of the argument, but the second part is, whilst I accept that there is a lot of value here, I want to know what that value is and what it should really go to. So it's quite clear in the investment case that GMET makes up 16 or so million of our market cap of around about 20. But the key question is, what the other 4 million, what do I get for that 4 million? So clearly, there's a lot of it that's in for either free or very cheap, but what are those other component parts and how do we value them? So Charles did some work independently on this, and he's published a really good document. So we've got a summary here, which you showed to your viewers. There's also a scan code there, so you can get a much fuller report, which goes through the business model, the company, and all the assets in detail. But the summary is that if you take an independent valuation of each of the components, and that would, for example, include our Athabasca uranium assets, which last time we spoke, we talked about the joint venture that we are in the process of completing. You've got our Power Arabia assets, you've got the First Development Resources assets in Australia, et cetera, et cetera. And what he's done is put these all together, done some really careful and detailed valuation work, and he's come up with a number of just short of £42 million for the net asset value of the company. Now, it's very important to understand this is not a price target, okay? He's not saying these shares are half price per se. In fact, he thinks the shares are worth a lot more than that. He's saying, what is his estimate of the net asset value of the company as it is today? So in other words, another way of putting it is if you were, I don't know, like a big private equity guy or a major investor, and you said, look, these shares are too cheap, I'm going to buy the whole company and I'm going to break it up and sell off the component parts, I'm paying 20 for something that's worth 40. Mm-hmm. Okay, so obviously that's not necessarily what we're saying. It's just a way of highlighting that value. Now, what investors can do is that they can go to the link you're talking about. They can download the full report and they can go through in detail what are the assets. They also go through in detail how the business model works. So how do we actually achieve that value? And we do that, as we've talked about a few times, by taking some early stage assets, typically, doing some work, adding some value, and then looking to crystallize that through a corporate event, whether it's IPO or spin out or whatever. And we've done lots of examples of that. In fact, it's nice being here at the Rule Symposium, because when we were here last year, we had relatively few of these events had so far occurred, and since we've been here a year later, we've had a whole bunch have happened since then. So, the model is proven out. We've clearly delivered a lot of value, but I don't think the market has quite caught up with that yet. So, for investors who are looking at a mining company, an asset play with a broad spread of commodity exposure in safe geographies, in the important commodities for the battery metal transition, I think we've got a great offering.
Yeah, that's good. So here it's saying that the estimated value of Power Metals is 41.8 million, and this is in euros?
No, that's in sterling. So that's
pound sterling. Okay. And so translating that to the US, I mean, I don't even know the ratio or whatnot, but it's higher.
That'd be about $45 million there.
Yeah, for sure. And so looking at that, and then looking at the share price is at about 24 cents.
Yeah.
Something what we were looking at earlier. And so this is a $42 million company.
Yeah, a little more in dollar terms. So yeah, I mean, I think it's you'd be, I don't know, it's what is it now, 1.2, something like that. So yeah, I mean, it's a little bit higher, but 24 cents versus around 18 pence share price. So it's pretty much translating. And of course, the other thing that we did mention when I saw you earlier, that's different now between when we were here last year, is the fact that we're now on the US OTC listing. So this has made it much easier for investors to buy the stock. Now, when companies first come onto the OTC, it can be a little bit difficult, and particularly we're on the QB at the moment. We're going to graduate to the QX in time, but some investors will find that if they go onto their app to buy the shares, they may have to approve the type of share that they want to buy to QB. In some cases, it's possible you may have to call your broker to say that you approve the trade, because it's one that hasn't yet really got a lot of liquidity, but we are already seeing buyers. So we've had a guy today at the conference, he's come up and said he wants to buy shares, he's done that, and that will help to get volume going, and will make the market makers recognize our name, and if you're with Fidelity or Schwab or one of those big platforms, you should be able to trade no problem.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so this is amazing just to even have this, because this asset valuation simplified it for many people, I mean, including myself. I mean, going in and trying to figure out the value of each asset, that's so time intensive.
Yeah.
And you all hired a independent analyst to come in and do that valuation and simplified it for the investors there.
The only thing I would add on that is that we haven't hired him, so he's done this work independently. Now, we want to work with him. We want to work together, and I'm sure we will do more together. But he's done this off his own back. Now, he shared the stuff with us. It's in his. He's a shareholder. He wants to promote the stock, but this is an independent piece of work. And as I say, going forward, we really want to work with Charles. He's a great guy, obviously a good analyst, and he's doing us a big favor.
Yeah.
So we will hear more from him, and I think it is possible that he will do some kind of bespoke work for us. But this is not a kind of company presentation in that sense.
Yeah. So which is even more important, because if a company was to hire somebody to do it, then it's like, oh well, of course they're going to hire someone to
right.
to say that they're valued at this. So this is someone that's independent that decided to do it on their own, and they share the results with Power Metals. Yeah. So that's amazing. So you all be sure to go check it out. Check out Power Metals. We've been talking about this company for a while. It's on the OTC now. And I mean, you all are just doing some amazing stuff. I don't just say that, lightly. I mean, I really believe in the company, the model. And I mean, even just you going out and being securing funding for the company and not having to dilute shareholders and things like that. And then now we see that the company is valued at close to 42 million pounds. There's just a lot of good things going.
And that's a really important point you make there, actually, because some people say, well, it's not your job to talk about the share price. The CEO should be focusing on the business and talk about delivering the operational performance, and the market will take care of it. That's true to an extent, but when you're in the small cap arena, particularly on AIM, you do have to do a lot of marketing promotion because you have to separate yourself out from a lot of other great companies. And it is important that we talk about our share price in as much as that dilution point you talked about. It's in everybody's interest that the share price and the underlying valuation are as closely matched as possible, so that if and when we raise more money, and it's we try to minimize that, but if and when we need to raise money, that we don't dilute shareholders and that we do it into a rising share price and a stronger capital market background. So it is important, I think, that when we talk about the company, we talk about the valuation, and what we see at the moment is a big disconnect between the two. I mean, look, we're not alone, okay? There's however many exhibitors here, and I'm sure every single one of them will tell you, I don't think the market is giving me the share price I deserve, and in almost all cases that's absolutely right. But I think here we've got the actual numbers so that people can look at it, they can make their own view, and they can look at the report in detail, and they can compare that with the share price, and I'm sure they will come to the same conclusion as you, which is that there's a lot of value here and a great opportunity at this point in the cycle.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. All right, you all, be sure to link to this report in the description below. Be sure to check out Power Metal Resources. I will link to their website as well. Thank you. Appreciate you for coming on, Sean.
Thank you very much, Al. Lovely to see you.